All right, so I have hit go live, and it should be going live right now. The
It's
little
going
ticker
live.
is
It's going live.
awesome.
If you're listening live, let us know in the comments. If you're watching this replay, hit replay in the comments.
Yes. All right. So welcome everybody in Home Care Ops Nation. It is going to be an incredible day. So not only is it the Friday edition of the ActionCAST, but I have an incredible, beautiful, talented, exceptionally smart lady who is going to sit here and discuss the 3 steps to turning your vision into a success. If you're tired of feeling like you're casting your vision, but all you're doing is fighting fires, then this is 100% the episode you need to be listening to, because today we're turning vision into success on the ActionCAST. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the ActionCAST. I am your host, Clint Nobles, operational methodologist and all manner of other names. Today, I am joined by an incredible woman, and we are going to be breaking down the 3 steps to turn your vision into success. As a home care owner, as an entrepreneur, we love the term vision, but it can become really frustrating when we have such a clear vision in our mind, but we aren't getting our team enrolled. We have this beautiful outcome and impact that we're wanting to happen, but it just isn't working. We just keep fighting the same fires every day. That's frustrating. That can be exhausting, but it doesn't have to be that way. And today, Miss Jessica Nobles and I are going to be breaking down the 3 steps that we have learned to turn vision into success. And when it comes to vision, Jess, you are an incredible visionary. And welcome, by the way, to the ActionCAST.
Oh, thank you. I always love being on the ActionCAST, and I love that it's all about taking action and getting results. And I know that's what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, yes, it is. So it is this time again for the ActionCAST, diving in. So let's talk about vision just a little bit. Why is this an important topic to really break down and understand these 3 steps for owners? I mean, doesn't everybody have vision?
Yeah, well, I think for me, and now I consider myself a visionary entrepreneur. And like if I have a superpower, it is a big idea generator. Like I love thinking about big ideas. I love future casting and saying, "Oh my gosh, like I'm looking forward to this," or when this happens, or like I look forward to the time when it's done, right? And a lot of times as visionaries, it is like, I can't wait till this is done. And a perfect example of this is we went to a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within, and we were going to walk on fire. And I'm a fire walker. I walked on that fire, but he's like, he preps you of like, this is the process, and you're going to go across the coals and you're going to say, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. But I like walked toward the fire. And then right as I was about to, I didn't even slow down. I walked toward that fire. I was the first one to run across the coals, but I totally forgot that I was supposed to say cool moss. I was saying, I'm already through it. I'm already through it. I'm already through it. Because as a visionary, I wanted to be already through it on the other side with the outcome of being able to say, I have walked on fire and I did not get burnt. And when it comes to business, a lot of times I like to do that same approach where if I just power through it, if I just push through it, if I say, this is what I'm doing, it's going to get me there. But having vision is more than just having a dream or just knowing the outcome, but it's truly understanding how do I make this vision happen without getting stalled in the process, without getting frustrated and burnout in the process? Because we know that actually achieving these big visions takes more than just dreaming. It takes more than just setting goals.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the first things we want to talk about, because diving into vision for people, I mean, and put in the comments, put in the comments for all of those joining via all of our social media platforms. Make sure to put in the comments hashtag live or hashtag replay. Let us know when you're watching this. But also put in the comments if you have a vision board. Like, let me know if you have a vision board. I love vision boards. They're amazing. Anytime I can break out paper mache, it's just like the best thing ever, right? So, but unfortunately, a lot of times in our vision boards, we still have the things on our vision boards from last year that we didn't quite succeed at. And this conversation really come up because yesterday we did our mastery day for action leaders, and one of our 2 mastery days each month, and it was on strategic vision, setting that strategic vision. What I've learned over time, and really probably the first key here, or the first step to creating this vision, is recognizing the difference between a dream and a vision. A lot of times we are told to cast a vision in life, and we do our vision boards, and we got our Lamborghinis and Maseratis, and I'm not a car dude, so those might be old style supercars. But it's whatever your fancy thing is. My vision board has a submarine in it, like a 3-person bubble sub. But we cast these visions that are massive and they're huge, and that's wonderful. But then we're expected to let that be our tether. And the reality is those are dreams. And dreams are great. You can't have vision without dreams. But that can't be where you live. Your vision has to be tangible. It has to be something that really starts by understanding, number one, what's the thing you want to accomplish? And then 2, what's the time you want to accomplish it in? That really sets that boundary, right? So understanding the difference between dreams and vision becomes a fundamental step. If you have a vision board, if you have a great vision right now that you don't feel is being achieved, it may be because you're focusing on the dream of it rather than what's the thing I need to accomplish and the time frame I need to get it done in.
Yeah. And that really is so important, is a lot of times we have these visions. And now with me, I'm not big on like the vision boards. I am big on vision planning. And even behind me, if I turn this, you see my calendar. I know it's tacky. I love it. I love getting the sticky notes. That you can see there's different colors on there. And I'm being like, we're going to do this event and we're going to take this vacation. We're going to take this trip. I love the vision plan. But so often I didn't actually set okay, this is where I'm headed. And these are the things that I need to do. These are the milestones that I need to hit to actually make that day happen. And that's why it's so important to set our vision up for success.
Yeah. And so I want to talk to you about this vision versus dream concept here a little bit, because when we're talking about this, it's fun to talk about the dream aspect of this, right? It's fun to sit there and say, oh my gosh, we can do this, we could have this, we could have agencies in 5 different states, we could be a $10-20 million agency, and I love that.
Yeah.
But why do we need to say what is happening in the next 6 to 12 months? What's happening in the next 12 months, 18 months? How has that worked for you over your life, both ways, where you thought about, these grandiose goals and then started realizing, hey, I actually need to make this, I need to turn my possibilities into projects, as Brenda Bouchard says.
Yeah. And that really is the key, because I love big ideas and I love big visions and I love big outcomes. Whenever I start breaking them down, for example, I know a lot of us probably have revenue goals that we want to hit. If we just say, hey, I want to make an additional $3 million this year, and I don't have a strategic plan of how much revenue per month does that break down to? How many additional leads? How many additional care providers? Then what becomes like our vision no longer seems as dreamy. And something that I realized a long time ago is a lot of times I said that I had vision, but I learned the hard way that a dream without a plan is just a wish. And I love acronyms. And my mom is going to she's going to like scold me on this, but I found that a dream without a plan is just a wish, and wish is walking into happening. That is the acronym, walking into happening. You add the T to that. So we have to have a plan. We have to ensure that those projects, and if you have a project, what do you have? You have a clear outcome, you have a deadline, and you have someone managing that project to ensure that it's done.
Yeah, and I think that's so good. And just to make sure that your mom does actually like get up with you on this, there it is, walking into happening. I love that. So put in the comments. I want to see y'all put in the comments. When is a time that you realized you were wishing with your vision? That maybe like you were wishing for something, but you didn't know how to achieve it.
Yeah. So one of the times I really realized is when I was stuck and I was stalled. And if anybody has ever experienced a growth plateau and you get super frustrated because you're like, I feel like I'm doing the things. I feel like I'm providing better care. I feel like that I should be further ahead than what I am. But I'm not even worried about dreaming today. I'm in survival mode. And I got so sick of being in survival mode. So I had to step back and say, where is my vision getting me? And then I realized I really didn't have a vision because I didn't have a path or a plan to get there. And it's like looking for treasure without a map. And you're just aimlessly wandering, going in circles and not truly having any strategic plan, any strategic path, and you don't have clear vision, like to even know with confidence, this is my next step to get me to that desired outcome. So definitely being stalled, even training my team. I was really big on hiring people that I felt like, oh, they'll be good at figuring this out. And so I would then go tell them, hey, you're probably going to be better at this than me. Go do this thing. And then whenever they go do that thing, it is not how I wanted it to be. It's not done how I wanted it to be done. And then I think, well, gosh, that wasn't my vision at all. They just didn't get my vision. But what I realized is it wasn't actually a vision because it didn't have that strategic plan. It didn't have a path to success. And we have vision to be successful. So we need that path to success.
So, all right. So step one in our 3 steps here is to set a vision, not a dream. Turn your possibilities into projects. Let's talk about step number 2. Now, so Jess, what is the second step for you in turning your vision into success? Because I mean, you have turned incredible visions into incredible success. Well, number one, in the home care business, right? You created, we built a multi-state, multi-million-dollar agency, created managing partners, and now we support thousands and thousands of home care owners across the industry with incredible resources and all that. Well, all that starts with a vision. But to you, what's that second step? Once you turn it into a reality, that dream to a vision, what's the next thing you do?
Yeah. So once you have that vision that has those clear and defined goals, so you have those end results that you're working towards, it's then about analyzing, where am I currently at? I know where I'm wanting to go. what are the gaps? What are the steps that I need to take? What is the next step that I need to take? And a lot of us visionaries, we don't like to think about the next step. We like to think about the 10 steps ahead of that. And we can't get to step 10 unless we've taken step 1, right? So understanding what is the next step, identifying those gaps, identifying those milestones. What are the small projects that make those big projects achievable?
Yeah, so let's talk about gaps for a minute, because I think this is something that, as home care owners, as entrepreneurs, we love actually identifying gaps. It's in our DNA, mainly because we're pretty critical. If we're being really honest, as entrepreneurs, we're pretty critical mostly of ourselves, right? Anybody give a amen on that? We gauge everything from the gap, and it's like, oh my God, what is happening? But when you're talking about establishing these gaps here, it's not really about understanding the distance between which from you to success. It's about measuring how much gain you've already gotten, leveraging what you've already done, understanding what is the success that I currently have, and how can I leverage that success to achieve even greater success. What was it? Dan Hardy, right, talks about gain in the gap, evaluating from the gain versus the gap. So when we talk about identifying these gaps, what I've learned to be true, and I've found for owners at every level, whether it's they're busting through that first million, or they're tackling their 150th million, right? Regardless of that, the gap, identifying these gaps, is not about finding out what is wrong, but it is finding out what you do incredibly well that you can leverage to, one, do better, or how can you leverage that in a new and innovative way? So it's not just about identifying gaps, but it's leveraging the gaps,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And it's about doing more of what is working and less of what isn't. And so often we always try to recreate the wheel, or we look at what's not working, and a lot of times it really is a small percentage of the things that are working, but we throw everything out and we say, "Oh, I knew that wouldn't have worked," or maybe I'm not meant to do this, or maybe it's not meant to be. We begin to doubt ourselves. We begin to doubt the situation, when a lot of times is we're just looking at that small thing that's not working and not all the things that are, and just having that small hinge, that small tweak that will swing a big door into success in what we're doing. And whenever I'm looking at those gaps and we're establishing the gaps, and we look at it from that gain perspective of what am I doing that's working very well. And then also, as entrepreneurs, we are naturally critical, constructive, corrective people, right? And it's really easy for us to walk down what isn't working, call out staffing issues, not getting consistent leads, clients going into assisted living, like hours being inconsistent, shifts being inconsistent. We can talk about all day, we can identify this is the gap, and this is what isn't working, and this is what's standing in my way. But rather than focusing on the gap, look at what is the way, what is the solution, what is the solve, what is the small hinge that will create success in that small area. So often we just look at it from that negative standpoint, or we think, well, maybe tomorrow I'll deal with that. Today I'm just going to
Yeah.
survive that. And we really, to be successful, we have to go from the mindset of survivor into a strategic thriver.
Yeah. And something that I love is a recognition of, what we teach, called living in a state of being successful. I think this is really important when it's turning your vision into success, which is what we're talking about here. Recognizing what it means to be in a state of being successful. Success is not an end of life achievement. Success is a result. It's a result of consistent actions, right? Repeated, produce results you want.
Yeah.
So living in a state of being successful, it isn't just looking at the gap and when you identify these gaps, but it's about understanding how to leverage the current state of being successful. So
Yeah.
often we look at it as if we don't get, we are not successful until we have all of the shifts covered or we have the next location fully opened and it's making $8 million. But that's not just success, right? All of those things take milestones along the way. And having an understanding that the second step here, right, is to identify the gaps and leverage your current state of being successful.
Yeah. And that's so true. Like every day you have to choose to be successful, live in a state of being successful. And it really makes me think of a client that we had in this industry. We are blessed to work with people a lot of times toward the end of their life that have achieved incredible success. And he was being recognized for a life of achievement. And achievement is a lot of times we're working to have that achieved life. And he was talking about his daily decisions, the daily decisions, the micro decisions of success. Being successful on a daily basis is how at the end of the life they could say that he lived a life of achievement. Success didn't start that day when they called him an achiever or a life of achievement. His life of success had started 60 years prior to that when he made that decision to start that business. And that the next day he made the decision to take the next step and the next step, and then to make his next new hire, and then to expand that $1 million business that went on to be a multi-billion-dollar business, right? But it is that state of us choosing to be successful, and also us acknowledging and us giving ourselves the credit of being successful. A lot of times we don't celebrate our small wins, so we miss the big wins when they happen altogether.
Yeah. And for us in the home care industry, and I want you to put in the comments, what is something you are currently being successful at, right? Is it client acquisition? Is it building relationships? Is it creating employee retention or buy-in, or do you get your team motivated? Put in the chat, what is something that you are being successful at? You're in a state of being successful. So, all right. So step number one, we're talking about the 3 steps to turn your vision into success. So step number 1 is set a vision, not a dream. Turn your possibilities into projects. Step number 2 is identify the gaps and leverage your current state of being successful. When it comes to step 3, to me, this becomes a linchpin step because identifying, right, understanding, okay, this is my vision. I got a time to do this in, and I know exactly what I want to do, right? That's what vision is. You have a thing to do, and this is the time frame you're going to do it in. Recognizing the gaps in which that exist from your current state of being successful to where you want to go. Now it comes to, and dare I say, okay, this is the not fun part of vision. Doing it, actually doing it, but more than doing it once, committing to the consistency of doing it. And this is where I personally have found a lot of teachable moments for myself, because I get all excited about the moment of doing, and I get in there and do it, but then it doesn't exactly go the way I wanted, or it doesn't go exactly the way I thought it would. And all of a sudden, I'm not interested in this anymore, or I'm so determined to make it look exactly like I thought when I came up with this vision that I ignore the adaptation and really the discovery of vision along the way. So to me, the third step in this process really comes to understanding a commitment to an outcome, not the process. And when we determine the vision, it's not about how we would make it happen, but what's the outcome that we want? I know, for example, a really good example of this is with home care ops. When we started this, our vision with home care ops was to be a resource for every home care owner at every level, to truly be that solution where they could find the resources they need, whether they're at the 500,000 or they're at the 5 million or they're the 50 million, right? 100, to truly be a resource for them and to bring those solutions. Yet that's not where we started, was it? We started by documents, giving out documents. Hey, this is COVID's happening, right? For those of you who remember our PPE, put in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you got some of the PPE kits, right, that we did for caregivers. We didn't look at it and say, how can we do this for the big agency? How can we do this for the startup? We said, how can we do this? And when it comes to making a vision happen, turning that vision into success, in my opinion, that third step isn't just about doing it, but it's about committing to having it be done.
Yeah.
And that can take a whole lot of different shapes.
Yeah. And it's having that strategic plan of action. Action being the key word there. Action is the state of doing, of taking the action. When you have that strategic plan of action, then you have those. What are the measurables that I need to be tracking? What are the intentional actions that have to happen that's going to give me those intentional outcomes? It's thinking about, okay, what's the plan? Who are the people? Like, who are the people that are going to help me, support me, back me up, be doing it, that I'm going to delegate to, that I'm going to learn from, who's done it before? It literally is, what's the plan? Then who are the people? And then whenever you start digging into the processes of it, it's a whole lot easier, right? And then it's the prove it, plan it, the people who's going to do it, the process to get it done, and then go out there and prove that you're going to do it by doing it every single day, doing it consistently. And that's the not so fun part.
That is, because that is where we get into, the burnout of it. And burnout is truly at epidemic levels. But I also think sometimes it can be an easy villain to blame.
Yeah.
I'm burnt out on this. I'm burnt out on this.
Well,
because it's not the fun part.
Yeah. I found that every time I said that I was burnout, and I've experienced multiple levels of burnout, from compassion burnout, from being a family caregiver, to survival burnout, from being a home care owner who was wearing way too many hats, doing way too many things and feeling far too stretched, to then what I call success burnout, where I've pushed myself so hard and I even reached the outcomes. I've even exceeded outcomes, but I was so burned out on just the growth and then the uncertainty of how can I maintain this? What is my next step from that? And I have learned that every time that I've used the word burnout or overwhelmed, I always meant I am uncertain. I'm uncertain of my next step. I'm uncertain of what will happen. I'm uncertain of who will help me. I'm uncertain, and uncertainty is what clouded my vision and my path. And a lot of times I see vision, and I see vision as a map. And my big outcome is that X marks the spot. But then all of that uncertainty is that fog that becomes like it's bellowing out. And fog is fear of growth, FOG, fog. And so a lot of times if you're feeling that burnout, you're feeling that overwhelm, what you're feeling is that fog, fear of growth, because uncertainty is the thing that really is controlling you, your decisions, your emotions, and your step forward. So if you are feeling uncertain right now, if you are feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, by setting down and getting really clear on what are those goals? What are those goals, those outcomes that you want to get to? What are the gaps between where you are now and where you're going? And then step number 3, create the plan. And on that plan, just know, and the next step is, what's that next step that you need to take? And you're committed to taking the next step today, and then the next step tomorrow, and the step after that. What I've learned in my experience is that when I started doing it that way, I achieved so much more than I ever thought I would. I never would have dreamed 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, that we would be where we're at now, touching so many lives, impacting home care the way that we have and the way that we are. But it's by doing that process of, you know what, fog, fear of growth, get out of here. I am going to take that uncertainty and I'm going to say, you know what? No. I'm going to make a plan and I'm going to take, and the next step is, I'm just going to get clear on my next step is, that's going in the direction of that big outcome, that big vision that I have.
Yeah, I love that. So, quick recap for everybody who has popped on. Make sure if you're coming in, watching midstream, whatever it is, make sure to go back and watch the beginning of this, because there's a reason we call this an action cast and not a podcast, because what Jess just did was a masterclass in how to truly do this, right? This isn't just a webinar. This isn't just a podcast. This is truly something you can take and create real action and momentum in your business. So we're talking about turning your vision of your business into success. And the first step in this process is to set a vision, not a dream. Turn your possibilities into projects. Understand that really the next step, what's that next goal that I have to hit? Step number 2 is to identify the gaps and then leverage your current state of being successful. And step number 3 is be committed to the outcome, not the process. Live by the banner of, and the next step is. I love that. And when you have that next step, it creates incredible certainty. And you mentioned certainty earlier. And of course, in Action Leaders and at our events, y'all hear us talk a lot about overwhelm is a mask for uncertainty. The moment you know the next step, overwhelm is out the window because you remove uncertainty. When you want to turn your vision into success, that next step is really the linchpin. Factoring out your vision boards, looking at all of this, and you know the what is the buzzword? Manifestation. Manifest. Well, the only way you manifest is by manna doing. Like you can't, you can't just sit there hum na, right? You actually have to get in there and do the work. That, and the next step is by having a secure understanding of what your vision is, turning that dream into a vision. Dreams won't carry you when the road gets tough. It's hard to really let a dream ignite you, but a vision can. And when you can have that vision, which is the thing I want to do and the time I want to do it in, you can truly commit to the outcomes and follow that next step.
Yeah.
All right, Jess. So let's talk next steps. All right. So speaking of, and I want to hear from you in the comments. Put in the comments, what is the next step for you? What is the thing you're doing today, tomorrow, this week, next week to turn your vision into success? Let us celebrate along with you. I want to be able to get in there and champion you on. So let us know in the comments, what's that next step for you? I know for us, Jess, one of the things we have coming up is the Home Care the Home Care Association of America's conference coming
Oh
up.
yeah, I am looking forward to that. If you are planning on attending the Home Care Association of America conference, make sure to let us know in the comments. We want to make sure and connect with you while that you're there. We're going to have right at the front, we're going to have a resource center, home care offices that you can stop by, get incredible resources, meet us, and so that we can meet you and greet with you. I'm really excited about that. So make sure to let us know that you're coming.
I
And
know
then
I love partnering with the Home Care Association of America. Like
yeah,
they do so much incredible work, and to be able to be a part of providing resources and support and to home care owners, especially even during conferences like this, where it can be so overwhelming, the information, right? But and the next step is so
yeah.
that's why we love these resource centers.
Yeah, and I love networking. I feel like it's so important for us to surround ourselves with people who are actively taking action. They're getting incredible results, and they are driven, and they have initiative, and they also understand where we're at, where we're headed, and what that really means, the impact, the income that can happen through those intentional actions. So having that network is important, and that's why I'm excited about networking and meeting so many of you who are going to the Home Care Association of America coming up soon.
I know it's going to be fantastic. On a side note, for us, we need to figure out something else I can do with my hands during this instead of
Oh,
the thinking man.
yeah.
I keep looking up and I see
I think
myself like the thinking man,
at this
and
time,
so I'm just like, we
at
got to
this
figure
point,
something
I
else
think
out.
we're like 4 years into doing this now. So they know, if they know us, they already love us. If you're just getting to know us or you're just meeting us, you're either going to love us or you're going to laugh at us. Either way, we've accomplished what we've set
Yeah,
out to do. And that's for you to feel a little bit of joy, to feel support, to have a network. And that's in as like if you don't know yet, every month we have a networking meeting in the home care owners community. So home care owners come together and we network every month. Make sure that you're getting plugged into that. We put that through the channels. We send it out in the emails. If you're a part of home care owners community, we post it there. We also have a quarterly networking meeting. So if you are a vendor, a rep, a coach, a consultant that's serving home care owners, like you're providing services to home care owners, and we're having our quarterly network meeting this month. And if you're a part of Vendor Nexus, either on Facebook or LinkedIn, just search it. It's a group. Then there's more information about that there too.
yeah. So lots going on, lot of things happening. I love activity. Busy people love busy people, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody. So, thank you so much for joining us today. You have an incredible vision, and it needs to become a reality.
Yes.
So make sure to take the 3 steps and turn your vision into a reality. And let us know in the comments, what's the vision? So we can champion you with it, because we want you to, number 1, take action. Number 2, get results. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jessica. We'll see you next week on the ActionCAST.